Kamino, the dark oceanic planet, known for its heavy downpours and thunderstorms, was home to the infamous cloning facility owned and operated by the Kaminoans, a species native to Kamino who found great pride in their cloned creations. The planet Kamino became the beating heart to the creation of the Clone Trooper army, and its direct involvement in the Clone Wars would shape history forever. But before understanding how clone troopers were raised and trained in this pristine facility, we have to go back to the beginning where it all started. This brings us to Jedi Sifo Dyas, a Jedi Master who, due to his ability to see the future, believed a war was coming and felt that action would need to be taken right away to defend the Galactic Republic. However, the Jedi Council at the time disagreed, resulting in Sifo Dyas's removal from the Council, but this just fueled him even further. Desperate, Jedi Sifo Dyas reached out to the Kaminoans, claiming to have authorization from the Council to produce a clone army. Production of the massive clone army would begin, but all of this would lead to Sifo Dyas's demise when Darth Tyrannus and Darth Sidious had him killed in order to take over the Clone Trooper project. Their ultimate goal was to trick the Kaminoans into adding Order 66 into the clone's inhibitor chips, which would then result in the death of many Jedi. At that time, no one realized that the grip of the Sith was this strong on Kamino and would eventually shape the future ahead. It wasn't until 10 years later that Obi-Wan himself had discovered the Clone Trooper army that Sifo Dyas had secretly commissioned. Here is where we get our real first glimpse of the Clone Trooper army in training. The Kaminoans claimed that the clones were much more efficient than standard droids, and one could see why. Based on the genetic template of Jango Fett, clone troopers grew older at an accelerated rate in order to be ready for the war ahead. In fact, clones would grow so fast that when compared to the normal growth of humans, a 10-year-old clone would be considered a 20-year-old human. There was one clone, however, that was different than all of the rest, and at the request of Jango Fett, would not be subjected to accelerated aging. This clone would end up being Jango Fett's son, who he named Boba Fett. If it wasn't for the Kaminoans, the galaxy would have never seen the rise of the most famous bounty hunter in the galaxy. From the time clones enter training on Kamino, they were given what was known as an identifying code in their left wrist, which would help the Republic keep track of each clone's rank and entire military service record. An astromech droid would simply scan their wrist and all information about that clone's record would display. And despite the fact that clones were still considered independent human beings, they were altered to be more obedient and, as a result, preferred to work together instead of alone, unless they were a part of a special force which opted for more independent thinking. Standard clone trooper training also reflected their ideals as they were grouped into squads to encourage collaboration and teamwork. And during this rigorous training, they would take the rank of clone cadet under their trainers and learn how to use various weapons and properly wear their unique clone trooper armor. Various training courses a clone trooper would have to undergo depended greatly on the specialty he was being trained for. Training courses depicted many different battle situations, and the training rooms had grid patterns that could easily be manipulated to accommodate droid watchtowers, cover points, and so much more. These different battle scenarios not only accommodated the many different specialties, but would also encourage clone troopers to act on the fly, communicate with one another, and devise different strategies depending on the situation at hand. One particular squad of clone troopers had many problems communicating with one another and consisted of cadets Heavy, Cut Up, Droid Bait, Fives, and Echo. And to the drill instructor's well-trained eyes, they seemed like a bad batch of clones. And if any clones were to fail their training, they would be sent off to do janitorial or basic work, a future that no clone wanted for his career in the military. This alone was enough motivation for any clone trooper wanting to succeed, and eventually the squad got their act together and succeeded in their training mission. This is a great example of how all clones have their own personality, but still have to make an effort to get along and work together as a team. As a clone would develop his skills, he would also focus on his specialty. Clones had a variety of career paths they could achieve, including becoming a part of one of the infantry units, serving as one of the many specialists, or even earning an elite title like ARC Trooper or Clone Commando. Clone Trooper Cody managed to make his way clear up to commander rank, leading his men through many tough battles. And regardless of the job, the weapons and lethal toys a clone trooper would get to play with would certainly make him happy. For instance, most clones were trained to use the DC-15 blaster rifle, which was used for longer range combat, and its variant, the DC-15A, which was used for shorter ranged engagements. And we can't forget about their EMP and thermal detonators, which came in handy when dispatching the various types of droids they came across during the Clone Wars. Now, if you managed to earn the title of ARC Trooper, also known as Advanced Recon Commandos or even Clone Commando, you would be outfitted with specialized armor to match your title. Famous clone troopers like Echo and Fives were specially trained and, as a result, looked pretty awesome in battle once they were promoted to ARC Trooper by Rex after the Battle of Kamino. And perhaps one of the most rare specialties was the Scuba Trooper, who were equipped for underwater scenarios, such as during the Battle of Mon Cala, aiding the Gungan Grand Army in defeating the Separatists in underwater combat. Now, it was the ground forces who claimed to have the most fun, especially when piloting such vehicles as the All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, known as the AT-TE. Also, they enjoyed vehicles including the AT-RT Scoutwalker, the Bark Speeder, the Stun Cannon Tank, and many other vehicles. If you ask the Navy, however, they pride themselves in having the most fun in the skies and space above various battlegrounds. You can't really blame them, as their arsenal of vehicles include the impressive Venator-class Star Destroyer, Acclamator-class Assault Ship, Y-Wings, ARC-170 Starfighters, Low-Altitude Assault Transport Carriers, Z-95 Starfighters, and many more. As you begin to look at Kamino and discover the Republic Army from the inside out, you begin to realize just how important Kamino was and how it provided vital training to its many clone troopers who took on the many roles, whether it be as ground forces during the Battle of Geonosis or high in the skies engaging Separatist forces. The sheer number of clone troopers coming out of Kamino was also staggering. 10 years after Sifo Dyas ordered the clone troopers to go into production, 200,000 clone troopers had been developed and millions more were on the way. All of it would be in vain, however, due to the Sith gaining control of the army through Order 66. It's during this key moment that everything would change, resulting in the birth of the Galactic Empire and the rise of the Rebellion. Kamino and the many clones that trained there shaped the galaxy forever, and the use of clone troopers seemed like a necessity that could not be avoided for both sides of the war. Thanks for watching Star Wars HQ, and remember, we've left an Easter egg in this video. Did you see Darth Vader hidden in this video somewhere? If you saw him, leave a comment below and let us know where you found him. And if you have not already, don't forget to subscribe right here at the Star Wars headquarters